afternoon, San Diego. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm Claire McKee, and this is Real Talk Carmel Valley, brought to you by our loyal sponsors at 5 Star Escrow and First American Title. I have a great show for you today, as always. I actually have the King of Carmel Valley co-hosting with me. That's my new nickname for you, by the way.
I'll take that.
You like that? That's Mr. Dan Conway. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
So you look so bright and cheery, but there's like something going on with your eye there? What?
Well, you know, our last show, I said that I would be willing to get bashed in the face for $100 million, like Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
And
did you have a few takers?
but haven't seen any money yet. So what happened is I actually walked into an umbrella up at Carlsbad Village, and the umbrella won.
Yeah, yeah. Now, can you just like paint the scene for me? Like you're just strolling. Did we have some beers? Like how did I come in contact with the umbrella? That's
how does a sober person do this?
This is a family show. There were some adult beverages involved, but not that many. And just was strolling along, talking to my wife, and boom.
Oh.
Hit it.
It looks bad.
Thought it was funny, and didn't pay any attention to it till the next day, and said, oh. Had to recap what we did the next day, and I remember doing it. But of course, I remember doing it. But
well, thank you for being here, nonetheless.
So I sucked it up, and I'm here. Yeah. You know, playing hurt.
True soldier, you are.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so last time you were on the show, we were talking about the advancements at One Paseo, and people are kind of tripping out about the fact that traffic's going to get worse. What's going to happen? So, give us like the update. What do you see going on over there right now?
Well, it's still hot over there, and the construction is going on really quickly.
And it's very dirty.
It's very dirty, and there's a lot of people protesting. Traffic's always been bad over there. We don't know what to expect, but there will be some neat new stores over there, some opportunities that people might be interested in. I say give it a shot and see what happens.
There's a garden area, isn't there?
Allegedly, there's so many things going on over there.
Umbrellas. They have umbrellas.
More umbrellas.
There's one less place I'll be going. Jeez, I'll have to go at night when I put the umbrellas down.
But I think kind of just one thing I just want to throw out there about the One Paseo is that the secret's out on San Diego, right? Like we are never going to be some rural town that doesn't have traffic. So I think we just have to embrace it. Like that's what comes with being in a big city where there's a million things to do, and you're going to enjoy it. I guarantee you're going to go frequent whatever's there. So we just got to suck it up and take it for what it is.
You know, and that's what Uber's for, too. So
true.
More people take Uber, less people will be on the roads. And,
or a car service.
Or car service,
yeah, absolutely. Well, let's introduce our guests, Dan. Today we have Jayson and Yuri Jacobo with GoldenWest Management. Hi to both of you.
Hi.
Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to have fun. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Just making sure you put your party pants on.
Right.
And we also have to my left here Dr. Ann Clark. She's with ACI Specialty Benefits.
Thank you.
Glad to have you back.
Thank you again.
New digs, but you know, same sort of thing. So
well, benefits for the new millennials.
There we go. And we're going to get right into that. But first, I want to get to know my guests a little bit better, and I like to play a little game here. This wasn't on our
This is like Ellen.
Yes.
The water up
We're
there.
going to dance in a minute.
What are you going to do?
So, Yuri, I'm coming to you first.
Oh.
What's your spirit animal?
Oh, okay. Spirit animal. I have a lot of them.
We know what Dan said. We already shared that with you before the show.
Definitely not that. I think it would be a wolf.
A wolf?
I do see wolves as being very trustworthy, and they're always in a pack, and I'm always with my friends, and I think I'm very trustworthy.
Yeah, okay.
So I would say wolf.
Love it. What's your guilty pleasure?
As far as food
Anything.
or
Food could be your guilty pleasure.
I think a guilty pleasure of Netflix.
Me too.
I do have a problem. I get engrossed in an episode, and before I know it, 8 hours has passed.
Yeah.
And it's 4 a.m., and I need to go to bed.
And you're like, am I still watching? Of course I'm still
Yes,
watching.
like, why would you ask me that? Now you're making me feel bad about myself, but I think that's definitely a guilty pleasure.
Okay, so you just walked me into your next question. What's the show you're currently binging?
I just finished Narcos.
I hear that's the real deal.
I finished it in like 2 days.
Okay.
I just needed it to see it out.
Super annoying, but isn't this, like, don't you have to read the subtitles the whole time?
I speak Spanish.
Oh, so you actually can, like, watch
I am,
what's
like,
happening.
on it.
For me, I'm reading the subtitles. I'm like, I don't even know what's going on in the background because I'm too busy reading the whole time. And that's probably really embarrassing. I shouldn't
That's
tell people
kind of
that.
cheating. Kind of cheating.
But how do I know what's going on if I don't know what they're saying?
No, she knows what's going on.
The important phrase
She's cheating.
She's cheating.
Una cerveza, por favor.
There we go. I got that.
That's all you need to know
I got that.
to be successful.
It's on the end.
That was a Spanish one.
Okay, Jayson, these questions are for you. What is one thing you can't live without?
Right now, it'd obviously be my phone, and I forget it everywhere. If I didn't have Yuri tell me, hey, did you get your phone on the way out the office, I'd probably go home without it on a
Isn't
regular
that funny?
basis. It's terrible.
You like try to forget about it, but then you panic when you don't have it.
It was my keys before, and now it's my phone.
Well, where is it?
Yeah, it did.
You're right.
Where is it?
Where is your phone,
Yeah, that's a
Jason?
good point. Who-
Okay, Jason, how about this? What's your zodiac sign?
I'm a Taurus. I had to think about that.
Okay,
I
yeah.
am a Taurus. I am the bull. I'm not sure what that meshes with, but
I was going to say, because my next question is one word to describe yourself, and Tauruses are known for being stubborn. Would you say that to you?
I'm definitely not stubborn whatsoever. If anybody said that, they would be completely wrong. They wouldn't know me.
Why is she
whatsoever.
laughing?
She doesn't know me either. I'm not sure. I just actually
You don't
met
know
her
me.
on the seat. Dan walked her in, so
She's like,
She's
yeah.
a seat filler.
Okay, okay. So what is one word to describe yourself then, if you're not stubborn?
yeah, I think stubborn is the right
Okay.
word.
Okay.
Spot on.
I think stubborn is the right word, but in a good way, you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes a little hard-headedness, it can go in the right
You
direction.
stick to your guns. You see it through. Okay, Dr. Clark, you're up. You ready for these fun
I'm
questions?
ready.
Go on Ellen style on you. As a
All right.
kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be an attorney,
Oh.
and I probably would have been a good one.
Yeah, yeah.
But women were not encouraged
Isn't
in
that
that area,
interesting?
so I became a teacher instead.
Awesome. My mom was a teacher as well. Where were you born and raised?
Frankfort, Kentucky, the bluegrass state,
Hey, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And what?
with lots of drinks.
Oh,
in
I
that
thought it was going to be
area.
hot
Yeah.
dogs.
Smoking and drinking.
and what is your favorite dessert?
Tres leches,
Cheesecake. Say cheesecake.
flan.
Oh, that's delicious.
Oh, I've never
That's a
had that
really good
before.
one. Ooh.
Yeah,
Where I don't. Are you gonna make? Do you make it yourself, or do you
No,
go somewhere in
I-
particular?
I don't cook.
You and me both, sister. You and me both.
Okay.
Okay, so we're just getting started, everyone. But if you like what you see, make sure you click like on our live feed. It'll actually give you a notification every time we go live. And since this is Facebook Live, we encourage the comments, ask us questions, and we can address them on air. So that's great. We look forward to hearing from you all. We're going to dive right in with Jayson and Yuri Jacobo. They are with GoldenWest Management. So GoldenWest Management has two taglines, if you will, right? So one is, we are in your neighborhood, and rent it like you mean it. Tell me what that means.
Well, I think rent it like you mean it is very important. So we're not realtors who happen to be renting your property, right? We are licensed agents that focus solely on property management. That way, when we talk about getting involved in our business, we talk about staying focused. Rent it like you mean it. You know, be very involved in what you're doing, and I think that's the main focus there. Now, in terms of your neighborhood property manager, well, we are a larger company. We have over 1,000 properties in 3 states. But it's important to have local area experts, not just to know what the market price is, but to also know the local laws, the local hotspots. If you don't have that experience and that knowledge of the local area, you're not going to do any good.
Where the umbrellas are.
Exactly where they are.
Yeah.
And
Boy.
I think it's very important to understand that rent it like you mean it is our mantra. That's like our culture as a company. So if you look at other property management companies, they don't have slogans, they don't have mantras. So it's again when a client's looking for a management company just to see our culture, and it really encompasses what we are here for. We want to rent your home like we mean it, and that's from A to Z. We will take care of you because we understand that your property is something very personal to you, and our tenants as well. That's where they live. So we understand the importance of this.
Well, and I think one thing that stood out to me is you mentioned, you're not some other occupation and you're doing property management on the side, right? Like, you are the experts. This is what you stay in your lane and you do it damn well.
We stay
right?
in our lane.
Stay in our lane, right.
I think there's a benefit to be had with that. So part of being a property manager is really making sure that the landlord is living up to the California tenant law, and all that can be kind of messy, right? So what can someone expect if they're working with you?
Well, you have to understand that we have 2 responsibilities. One of them is the tenant law here in California, and the second one is we have a fiduciary responsibility to the owner. So that's something that everyone needs to understand. We're definitely the middleman, and we're always trying to figure out the best way to solve a problem. And we were talking about this.
Right. Some people would say, I like what Yuri said, middleman. We like to think of ourselves as problem solvers because that's really what we get hired to do. We get hired to go ahead and take a situation that's a lot of times emotional between a tenant and a landlord and apply both the landlord-tenant law as well as some common sense and reasonability to be able to make it work. Those things come up more than just rent. I mean, every day, last weekend was one of the hottest weekends here in San Diego, and we're there to help, facilitate that call where, hey, my AC's out, but I'm going to go to the Ritz and I want the landlord to pay for it.
Yeah.
We got to be able to walk that process through so that both parties, find some common ground.
So
Barking dogs.
Everything.
Oh, we had that. Not one day is the same at our company. Not one day. And we wish we could write like black and white. This is what you do. Everything is gray area. But no, not one day is the same. We have had situations where tenants like, this dog's barking too much. Get rid of it. And there's just we
That's
have to
it.
go
Get
back.
rid of it.
just get rid of
And
it.
it's like absolutely not. So we can't do that.
Right, and that's what I think makes us so important is that when everything's going good, of course, you as an owner in your property, yeah, you could do it on your own, put it on Craigslist and find a tenant. It's when things don't go well is when all of a sudden, like insurance, man, I wish I had a property manager. Man, I wish I had somebody who had experience in, well, what does the tenant law say? What is, what am I responsible for habitability-wise? Questions like that. So I think if anything, it's those detailed questions, along with all the other horror stories you hear about the phone calls in the middle of the night and things like that, that make us so important to our clients.
Yeah, and ultimately you're giving the landlord, who is your client, peace of mind to lay their head at rest at night and not, what am I going to get a call about right now? You never know. So I kind of want to lay the law down because there are a lot of misconceptions. And so one thing we spoke about last week was really just setting that expectation, what is reasonable, what is not reasonable. And I think every renter in the world has had a discrepancy with their security deposit at some point, right? So kind of paint the picture of what's reasonable, what's expected, what's not expected. So all you people out there renting,
Well, I think first and foremost, the security deposit is the number one complaint from both sides, landlord and tenant.
Too much money up front.
Well,
Not necessarily.
yeah, let's start, when we talk security deposit, let's talk about three things. The first thing is the expectation. A lot of times, setting the expectation of what is the property supposed to be like on the landlord side when a tenant moves in, and tenant, what is the property supposed to be like when they move out? Number two, wear and tear. We hear that phrase thrown around quite a bit with landlord-tenant law. And what's the threshold for what a tenant is responsible for, and what's above normal wear and tear, or what a landlord just has to come out of pocket for? And I think the last thing is, how do you go about if there's a dispute?
Right.
So those are three main focuses. So the first one is just setting the expectation. I'd have to say, if you don't, as a landlord, have the property professionally cleaned and the carpets professionally cleaned with a receipt before they move in, you're setting yourself up for failure. And at least that is able to set the expectation from when the tenant moves out, we're asking for the same thing. Not you to wipe it down, not you and the kids to do the vacuum ones. Professional cleaning receipts. Two, wear and tear in San Diego or in California in general. I'm sure we've all heard this. It's very tenant friendly, very consumer friendly in the state. And so it's important to understand that if you want to deduct from a tenant security deposit, it has to be an egregious damage that's been done or an egregious violation of the lease. And I like to tell landlords, look, when you go down and stand in front of a hearing officer or a judge, they're not just going to say, oh, there's a small stain in the corner of the carpet, so we allow you to replace all your carpets. Or there's a hole in the hallway, why don't you repaint the entire house? It's not going to happen. So kind of getting our landlords to understand what is that threshold for wear and tear, especially locally here in San Diego. And then I think lastly, and this is very important because this comes a lot for us, is how do you go about disputing your security deposit? If you're a tenant, so landlords, you have 21 days to return a security deposit disposition to a tenant. Right? That's what California Civil Code 1950.5 tells us. Tenant, if you get that security deposit back and you don't like what the deductions are, instead of going on social media or sending 10 million phone calls or emails,
Or Yelp.
or
Or Glassdoor.
Exactly. The first thing to do is simply write a basic response, okay, and have that response say, this is what I don't agree with, this is what I would like to go ahead and dispute. Landlord, you now have that opportunity to respond, show invoices, show pictures, show that, hey, those are valid, or you cannot respond. But at the end of the day, tenant, you need to decide, is the juice worth the squeeze? Am I going to go ahead and go downtown and file a small claims court? Or am I going to say, you know what, I'm able to work it out with the landlord, or I'm able to just move on from this?
So would you suggest starting with a letter directly to your landlord if something like that happens? Because I know every apartment I've ever moved out of, they charged me to paint the entire place again. I'm like, for what? Those little nail holes I put in the wall?
Right.
And I didn't know any better, so, you know, I just pay it and let them take the money and whatever and call it a day.
And I think that's the issue, is that a lot of people don't know what the process is.
Right.
So absolutely, starting with, if you have a property manager or if you just rent directly from an owner, have the letter addressed to that landlord. And if it's a property manager, care of the property management company. If the landlord, just directly to them. And then list out what your disputes are. And then that sets the basis for, if you don't get a response, or if you don't get the response you like, that will satisfy the court's need for you to have a demand letter on file. And then, again, as we discussed, you could go downtown and file. And trust me, when you're in front of a judge a couple months later, the landlord and tenant, okay, both of you will walk out of there probably unhappy, because the hearing officers tend to, you know, they sometimes they're not even looking at your 50 pages of invoices that you spent all night putting together, or the 100 pictures you took. A lot of times they got 5 minutes and 10 other cases behind you to go ahead and say, well, I'm going to award this amount of money, or no money, or somewhere far less than you may or may have wanted.
Or split it down the middle.
Right, exactly. And so, but the process involved, it helps if you know it, to be able to calm down and understand, let me take these steps, and then I can make a decision at the end. Did we find some common ground and maybe I got some money back, or is the juice worth the squeeze, as we talked about? Am I going to file in court and have my day?
Or you can call your employee assistance program and get free legal advice,
Right.
contract advice, and maybe set realistic expectations, because what you're describing is very unrealistic expectations on the part of the tenant and maybe on the part of the landlord too.
And realistic, what do you mean? I'm sorry.
What to expect,
Oh, got it.
just as you're describing. Not to expect the tenant to repaint because of a few nail holes,
Right.
but at the same time repainting what, coming to an agreement to meet the expectations you had when you moved in.
You're absolutely right.
Meeting in the middle. So another misconception, let's talk about the unreasonably habitable, what is it?
Habitability.
Habitability.
I have an issue with that word as
Yeah.
well.
Right.
Uninhabitable.
Okay, so
Uninhabitable.
explain that, because that's another thing like people just need to know.
Right, so California Civil Code 1940.1, I believe, was.
Good at those. Symbols.
I know.
He's
point
so good at
five.
it. He's like
I
a book.
Yeah.
Well, I get paid to know those, right? So that covers California's habitability standards. Things like, if your faucet in your kitchen is leaking, you know, who's responsible for taking care of those? And it basically says what the landlord, it gives a list of items that the landlord is responsible for taking care of for you. Now, without going into major detail, the bottom line is, when a repair comes up and a tenant reports it to the landlord, items that fall under habitability, as listed in that civil code, the landlord has an obligation to make good faith effort to have them repaired. And if they don't, the tenant has certain rights behind that. Some might be everything from prorated daily rent all the way to they can make the repair and deduct that from the rent. The key points are, number one, as we talked about before, if the HVAC or the AC isn't working, doesn't mean you get to go to the Ritz and charge the $400 a night. If you are awarded prorated rent because the property is deemed uninhabitable, right?
Uninhabitable.
Uninhabitable.
I just wanted to say
Right.
it. Yeah, got it.
You're only allowed up to prorated daily rent. So I think, I'm not great at math, but if you pay $3,000 a month, I think that's about $100 a day in prorated daily rent.
That's good math.
I had to practice that one beforehand.
I got that one.
So that's what you would be entitled to on
Sure.
prorated daily rent, not the $3.99 a night that the Ritz currently is asking for. So, in addition, if you want to make a repair because the landlord wasn't able to make that repair, you first got to give the landlord a chance to actually.
I was going to say, do they have a certain amount of time to
Right.
actually do it?
Right, so every case is a little different, and I have to caveat, right, we talked, I'm not an attorney, so always got to put that statement out there that please seek legal counsel from a licensed attorney ahead of time. But based on experience, we can tell you the landlord has about 24 to 48 hours to make good faith effort to make a repair. After that time, the tenants can start to take action.
Gotcha.
All right, but if the landlord is making good faith effort, tenants be careful. If the landlord schedules an AC company to go out, and this weekend is a great example, they couldn't get out there on Saturday, they couldn't get to you till, let's say, Tuesday, doesn't mean you get to call the first person in the phone book and have them come out for an egregious amount to do a small fix and then say, well, there you go, landlord, that's the bill.
Right.
All right, so find that common ground. And again, as Yuri talked about before, our job is to try to balance those issues, to try to find some common ground between maybe a tenant asking for the Ritz, or a landlord saying like, it'll cool down on Monday, don't worry about it. Yeah.
But we definitely encourage for tenants to submit their repair request immediately.
Sure.
We have had tenants who in the past don't report a leak, and then it turns into a situation, and then they're held accountable because they didn't report it in time.
Well, I'm
So
so
it's
glad
really
you
important.
came on here. Like, we are dropping knowledge. You know, it's San Diego. Everybody is renting, and if they're not, they're looking to buy. So we think we've all been there. From the property management standpoint, what are you looking for? Who's your ideal client?
Well, first and foremost, we manage third parties, so we don't own these properties. Our clients are landlords here in San Diego, specifically Carmel Valley, Del Mar, Rancho Santa Fe. A lot of the areas are right where we're located. And these properties are anything from condos, single family, to multi-unit, probably less than about 30 units. That's about our cap right now that we're looking at. And we're focused on people that, look, they know that they're not going to be able to do it on their own, nor do they want to do it on their own. And so we're there to go ahead and do everything from A to Z.
We do have a lot of clients who get a job promotion and need to leave the state. So what's better than to have peace of mind that you have a property manager that's going to take care of everything for you.
Absolutely. Now, Dan, do you kind of keep property managers in your back pocket for your clients who may
Well,
want to
now
buy
we do.
a house?
Right,
now you
that's
got
what
one
we
right here.
wanted.
We did a lot of property management at a certain time when people were buying new homes and couldn't sell their homes, so they were waiting. Turned into be a very lucrative business because they turned out to sell 2 or 3 years later. We actually just closed one yesterday that we've been trying to sell for 8 years.
Wow.
And I had been property managing that one for a couple of years, and then I said I just can't do it. It was too much. But we finally sold it. But yes, it's very difficult business. That's my family background is property management, and so I know that business very well. And yeah, you got to be on top of the move-in reports. You got to. We always have people get home warranties of the landlords in case the HVAC goes in and get it fixed or replaced for $70 or something like that. So we always encourage that. I'm not telling you guys what to do with your business, but I've been there, and everybody who moves out wants that 100% of that deposit back
100%.
because they left it immaculate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there for 3 years, and it's not the same house. It's not the same house.
It's better than when
Yeah.
I
Oh
got
yeah,
there.
it is.
The difference now is if you're upset about something, you go and post it online.
Yeah.
You know, maybe a couple years back, that
true.
wasn't so much a situation more than an angry phone call, but now we have to deal with being stigmatized as the worst in the world just because we didn't give you your full security deposit. So it's definitely something we have to deal with now with social media posts,
Definitely.
reviews on Yelp.
People used to go straight to the source to try to solve
Yeah,
the problem,
let's
right?
work it
This
out.
is what I'm unhappy with. Can you do anything for me?
Right.
Now it's like, well, you are the worst, and blah, 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 like.
Sound like the president.
Girl, don't even get
Man.
me started on that topic. That is one that we could talk about for days. But Jayson, and Yuri Jacoba there with GoldenWest Management. You can find out more information at goldenwestmanagement.com. And if you're not local to San Diego, you have a couple other locations as
Yes.
well, right?
Correct. Las Vegas and Phoenix.
Las Vegas and Phoenix, so they've got you covered. I'm going to come back to Jayson and Yuri here. And I know we've provided a lot of information today. So what do you want our listeners to take away from what you told us? What's kind of the golden nugget or the takeaway?
I think most importantly is do your research. Sometimes these owners think that they can do it on their own, and just don't let yourself get in a situation of friction where you need a property manager. I think it's definitely be pragmatic, take your time, and find the best property manager you can find, which is us.
GoldenWest
There she is.
Management.
Right.
Jayson, what do you have to add?
No, I think that's 100% correct. Like insurance or like anything else, you don't want to call us when it's too late. And that happens quite a bit. The evictions that we've done this year are not from tenants that GoldenWest has placed. They're from landlords coming to us and saying, hey, they haven't paid in 3 months, help.
And it's bad when it gets to that point.
It's unfortunate, especially
Yeah.
in this state. I mean, we're talking about evictions here in California at minimum of 60 days. And November to December, nobody's getting moved out. The court's not going to do that.
Nope.
And as well as no rent for a couple months. And then when you get the home back, it's usually not in the best of shape. So, as Yuri said, so when it's perfect, you can do it on your own, absolutely. But all those rest of the time, that's what we get paid to do, and we're here to look out for that situation.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Dan,
Absolutely.
what is your takeaway from all of this that we've talked about?
Well, I am putting bowls of M&Ms in my office
Right.
right now. If Google can do
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
we're
Right.
doing it.
yeah.
That's
I'm
my
moving
big take.
into your office.
Yeah, well,
I want those
Milky
M&Ms.
Ways
We'll
and
help you
Jolly
move.
Ranchers are
Thank
awesome.
you. Deal. M&M's, perfect. I like the brown ones, so just so you know.
okay, we'll have them for you.
Okay.
You like them with the nuts?
No, nuts. Peanut butter maybe? Pretzels? Okay.
Those would be Reese's
I
Pieces.
would like a selection. Only
And
the brown ones.
we can find them for you at the best price.
We've got a bargain shopper right here in the house. Perfect. And Dr. Clark, last but not least, what do you want people to take away?
I want them to take away that there is help. The employer is not the bad guy. The employer wants you to succeed. Humanistically, it's a good deal. The employer wants greater productivity, you want your life better, and the employer pays for this benefit. So look at your employer and see if they have an EAP, and if they don't, let them know how wonderful it is and that you'd like to have one. So get help before it gets bad.
Yeah, stay in front of it, right? And I just want to give a shout out. You guys are getting a lot of love up there. Lisa Wilcox said, tactical problem solvers with professional expertise. Karen Mills said, great advice for both renters and landlords. Lawrence said, Semper Fi, sir. I don't know who that's to.
Oh, Lawrence.
Always.
Yeah, right. I was
Always
a Marine
safe.
at one time.
Well, thank you, sir, for your service. And thank you to all our commenters on there. We appreciate all the feedback and love you're showing all of us. But this was Real Talk Carmel Valley. We got to wrap up today, so thank you so much for tuning in. We're right here at Smarter San Diego Studios every Wednesday between 10 and 3, and we have a show for just about every San Diego community. So until next time, take care of each other, and we'll see you then.